Hello everyone, and welcome to another royal reading. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas, peaceful, happy Christmas, warm if you're in places where it's not so warm, and that you're all well and resting today. And so we're back with the royals, and I'm going to try and do some catch-up readings in the next few days and weeks, possibly before Harry's book drops, and that will be, I assume, the next story, although one never quite knows what is going to come when the Harkles are involved, and not just the Harkles. We read, of course, on the royal family as a collective. Let's remind you that this is just a royal reading, tarot reading for entertainment purposes, and or just my opinion or just speculation. I use the royal family as an archetypal family to read on so that we can all learn from their experiences. And of course, there is a disclaimer in the box below. I am using the Venetian Tarot today. There it is. It's quite a political tarot deck, and I'm using these little cards because we are talking today about politics, and we are talking about The Hill magazine, online newspaper that has until quite recently been pro-Harkle, pro-Meghan, pro-Harry. But it came out with a very strongly worded piece a few days ago, and basically calling it the trouble with Harry and Meghan, and the trouble being that they are now perceived, according to this article, as a threat to US security. Reason being their links with China and Russia. They are supported allegedly by China and Russia, and they are also, of course, quite happy to attack the Commonwealth and try and discredit it and try and rock the boat there and cause trouble. And the Commonwealth is actually quite important. It's quite important to US national security. It's kind of a buffer between the US and Russia and China. Very important strategically. And Harry and Meghan, since they have rewritten or edited some of the Queen's words that she spoke when she was very young and dedicating herself to a life of service, they took the liberty of editing that speech in their docu-series, their mockumentary, floppumentary, whatever you want to call it. Were quite vocal in their attacks, the sort of imperial nature of the Commonwealth and all the rest of it. The Hill has come out now, and it seemingly turned against them, and I want to know what impact this has on Meghan Markle's political ambitions. For Plant, anonymous houseplant fan, this was a game changer as far as she was concerned. I think this article actually prompted her to come back online onto Tumblr and start commenting on Harry and Meghan again, whereas up until then she had been quite blasé about it, quite bored with the whole thing. But she thought this was a game changer, that basically the US political establishment had turned against Harry and Meghan as a result of their criticism of the Commonwealth and also their alleged links to Russia and China, or the fact that Russia and China are gleefully supporting the Harkles, allegedly. So let's have a look. Political reading using the Venetian Tarot 7-card reading. We're going to see what the situation is. And we got the 8 of Pentacles here as the underlying energy, which is the card of work. Mastering your craft, doing something. I'll put the other cards out the way. Working hard on something. And it seems to me that Meghan has worked quite hard on her making herself desirable as a candidate for office in the United States. This is something she wants, something she's working hard towards, has been working hard towards for a long time. It seems to me, this is purely my opinion, that her swinging past the royal family and collecting a prince on the way through was nothing more than a strategic maneuver, that she had a higher prize in mind than being a member of the British royal family, or my opinion. But there it is, a working card, working hard on something. It's a creative endeavor in this card, and it often is. But in reality, for me, this is working hard and a goal that she had, or perhaps still has. We're going to find out in this reading. Let's look at the heart of this reading. The situation, what's going on, the Chariot, there it is. Loud and proud, the card literally of political ambition, the Chariot driving forward with that ambition. It's a very beautiful Chariot card for me. This Venetian tarot is exquisite, I think. But there it is. Somebody who's driving forward, who wants something, who wants higher office, who has a goal, who is relentless in their pursuit of that goal. She's still after it. She's on track for it in her mind. She's making progress towards it. The dog's outside. He's had his afternoon walk. He's had his dinner. And he's just having an afternoon chat outside. I don't think he likes to see that this card has showed up as the center of this reading, the heart of this reading, that ambition is still there, that drive, that motivation. Perhaps the people behind it are still there, pushing that chariot along with that goal, working hard towards that goal. Interesting, but let's see. How does Meghan feel about those political ambitions? I've read on this many times. It always looks bleak for her. It always looks like something she wants, but it always looks like the universe is going to step in and kind of stop the whole thing. Is she still keen on high office? Is she still keen as presenting herself as a candidate for high office? What are her feelings about this? Wow, we've got the Five of Swords. That is a card of conflict. Backstabbing, fighting dirty. It can also be inner conflict. It can be something she's conflicted about herself personally now. Is it worth it? Is it going to be too difficult? Is she going to be too exposed? But she wants it. She wants it still there. But she herself maybe is thinking that this is going to be something that just might be too risky for her. So she's a bit conflicted about it. But it is also something that there could be conflict around. The people around her could be conflicted about it. Her little team of supporters, her Eight of Pentacles there, who have been working hard towards this goal seemingly in the past, might now be conflicted. Her, and I'm just speculating, the big names, the heavy hitters, the people with the tons of money, her Tyler Perrys, her Oprahs, her George Clooney's, her Ellen DeGeneres's, those kinds of people. Other people in the shadows. I've forgotten what that woman's name is. Harry had lunch with, instead of hanging around in the UK after Prince Philip's funeral, he was in a mad rush to get back to have lunch with her at some fancy club in Montecito, Santa Barbara. Those kinds of people might now be thinking, it might all be a bit tricky for them. It might result in a lot of conflict and ugliness and perhaps exposure. So that's a card that is interesting. Let's see how the political establishment, the people who are around the hill, behind the hill, definitely not over the hill, but on the hill, how did they see her political ambitions right now? How do they see her as a political candidate? What do they think of her right now? Temperance card in reverse. That's a very funny card. You can all breathe again, those of you who this affects directly. The Temperance card is, of course, the card when it's upright of moderation and of balance and harmony and calming and cooling and damping down tumultuous, tempestuous situations, fiery situations. In the reverse, the Temperance card, as I very often say, is in fact the devil. It's the fallen angel. The angel when it's upright, it's the fallen angel. The devil when it's in the reverse. They see her as someone who would be very toxic, very divisive, very difficult, tricky, perhaps somebody who is not exactly honest with sort of what she tells. They really don't want her. The establishment. The people who inspired this hit piece, it really was a bit of a hit piece, my opinion, don't see her in a good light at all as a potential candidate for high office in the United States. So tell us now about the specific issues that they were concerned about in this article. First of all, Harkle connections with Russia. We know that they got a house in Canada from some Russian, a mysterious Russian person. There's been lots of speculation about that, who that person was. I think he was ultimately identified. Then, of course, they bought, allegedly, the house in Montecito from another Russian. So there do seem to be Russian contacts there with the Harkles. How worrying is this to the American political establishment? And we have here the Eight of Wands in reverse. This, it's not the 8, it's the 7 of Wands in reverse. Thank you. It makes more sense being the 7 of Wands in reverse. It's indefensible. It makes the Harkles It makes the Harkles extremely vulnerable. It's literally what the Seven of Wands is. Upright, it's about defending yourself, being in a position that you can maintain even if you're attacked. Rock the boat, and you can still keep the boat calm. Basically, that's what this card is telling us. The reverse, you're vulnerable to attack. You maybe don't have sufficient ethics. You don't have the high ground. You don't have a strong position. And the thing, of course, that would be a problem would be things like blackmail. If those Russians had planted cameras in places, for instance, I'm just speculating, I'm coming up with a very basic example of what could possibly go wrong. If those Russians knew things about the Harkles' private lives, their sex lives, their financial dealings, things about the royals, things about Americans that have popped in, high-profile Americans, the Obamas, the Bidens, the Harkles are connected to all of those people. Do they want Russian cameras, spying, listening to telephone calls, phone calls, Zoom calls, those kinds of things? They're a security risk. It's there. It's literally a security risk. That connection with Russia is a security risk. And of course, there's a proxy war going on with Russia, in my opinion, right now. And so the Harkles really did themselves no favors with accepting those freebies and those helpful offers from Russian, as they seemingly have. I am speculating, of course, and this is just a tarot reading, and this is all just my opinion, not based at all on anything factual, of course. So let us see the second issue that seemed to be a biggie for the people behind this article was the attacks on the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth, and all of that that it entailed. So let's see how that's gone down with Americans. Wow, it's a betrayal. It's more than a security risk, This is a security risk, but this is a betrayal. The special relationship, alive and well, according to this reading, between the UK and the US. Very much alive and well, and they saw this as an absolute betrayal. A betrayal of the Queen, the betrayal of the 70 years that the Queen worked for, what is the word? The Commonwealth of Nations. And benefiting each other, joining together, of course, across a vast spectrum of races, creeds, colours, beliefs, areas, geographical areas. It was very important, and they saw this as a direct betrayal of that work, of that significance, of that importance, of everything that the Queen stood for. She was stabbed. She was literally stabbed in the heart by her grandson and his bitch of a wife. So that's very interesting. They're taking this personally on her behalf. And I think that with all her slow, steady behavior in the background, the fact that she was kind of a global grandmother, the Queen, she was an elder in the best sense of the word. She was someone you could go and talk to, and it didn't matter. She wasn't an elected official. She didn't have an agenda. She didn't have an axe to grind. She didn't have a side. She was just there to listen and perhaps give a few wise words to. Elders are very important. Elder was betrayed. Elder's heart was broken in my opinion. So this has turned out to be quite an interesting little reading. Tell me now, final cards, how the view of Meghan in particular has changed as a result of this floppumentary. How they viewed her previously as a potential political candidate, and how they view her now in the aftermath. So before, this is the before card, and we have got to get it the right way around. I think it came out this way, upright, the Ace of Swords. If it came out in the reverse, I do apologize. But anyway, the energy that's coming off this card as it's newness. It's newness, and I'm going to read it the way that I've landed up with it now. So apologies if I'm completely wrong, but I think that this is the way round it wanted to be. Ace of Swords. This is clarity. This is a new path, a new direction. They looked at her possibly as someone they could get behind because it's newness with the ace there. And swords is ideas, communication, message, somebody that they could possibly rally behind. Apart from all these people who are working in the background to make this thing happen, this chariot reach its destination as fast and as furiously as it could. They saw this as something, a rallying point, a new voice, somebody that they could shine a light on, somebody who would shine a light on things, somebody that perhaps would cut her way through old, tired energy. That's what the Ace of Swords does. And I perhaps saw that, as I say, a rallying cry almost. We can all get behind her. She's biracial, she's female. She's come out of left field. She doesn't have the usual baggage, the usual associations, and perhaps she's someone who can cut through and clear things and untie knots and things like that with that Ace of Swords. So how do they view her now in the aftermath of this floppumentary and these criticisms of the Commonwealth and everything else? How do they view her? We've seen already that they view her as the devil, but what has changed is what I'm getting at now. Not so much as how they view her. Let's clarify that. That's how they view her. They view her as temperance in reverse. Somebody who would cause chaos, basically, with that devil energy, that impatient, aggressive energy that the temperance card in reverse manifests. But the difference from there to now, what is the difference? And we've got the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups in reverse. This card was definitely in reverse here. It's a rejection card. It's a say no card. They might be tempted at some point to have a second look at her, because that's what happens with the Four of Cups. You reject somebody when it's upright. You say, no, I'm apathetic. They've been apathetic about her. There might be some that at some point think, oh, should we look at it again? But that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed already. When you get the Four of Cups in reverse, you think, well, we thought about it, but it was half-hearted at best. They were never that keen on her, despite that Ace of Swords. They were never that keen on her with that Four of Cups. And even though at some point they might take out a file and dust it off and say, okay, now what? It's going to be half-hearted at best. And for the most part, it's going to be, well, we missed that opportunity. It's gone now. But people, it's cups, it's emotion, it's how engaged people would be with her as a candidate. And it's nah. They wouldn't have been that keen on her in the first place, and now, no thank you, too late. So it's very much a too late energy. Even if they do come back and get that folder off a shelf and have a look at it, of course, it would be on a computer now. But you never know, maybe not on a computer. And I don't know why I'm saying that. I just have an idea of a basement and folders, manila folders. That's the reading, though. It looks like something that she really would want. So people have worked hard to get to. But now it's got tricky. Because of all this conflict that she herself has stirred up with the royal family, with the media, with the public, it's got tricky. She's too aggressive. She's too controversial. She's toxic as far as American political establishment sees her. She's a security risk. She's a massive security risk, according to these cards, in my opinion, with that Seven of Wands in reverse. She's the betrayer. She has broken hearts, not only her, but Harry as well. She has let down somebody, an ally, somebody who's very close, somebody they feel very connected to, very emotional about. These people. Very interesting card. That to me, this is the most interesting card. This Three of Swords. That they're taking it personally. This betrayal. That what they perceive as a betrayal. Let's reword it. Thought she might be a rallying point. She might cut through old tired energy, old tired bonds, and old tired narratives. But it's too late. It's over. Whatever vague attraction there was for her around her as a candidate, gone. Despite the hard work that's been going on over there to build this story up, to get the money together too. I'm getting from that card, 8 Pentacles. It's counting your pennies. It's getting the money together for something. They've been doing it. They've been doing it behind the scenes. My opinion. And that is it for this reading. Thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you over on the next one.